Which one of these ceremonies do you engage?
Zillion strange creatures are beaming down. My God, they're beaming me up with them. Don't put that probe there. Don't put that probe there. Don't put ooh. Listen to the Church of Mabus radio show at 11 p.m. Eastern, Saturday nights with host Jeffrey Pritchett, bringing you the high strange. Visit www.churchofmabusradio.com. That's www.churchofmabusradio.com.
Tune in to The Mind Cemetery with your hosts, Chip and Nicole, every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Exclusively on the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. We delve into UFOs, abductions, ghosts, aliens, conspiracies, and cryptozoology.
Getch. I hope to see you on Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific on the Galactic Connection, keeping you connected 1 hour at a time. For more information, please visit thegalacticconnection.com. Tune in to UFO Under
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of UFO Undercover. I am your host, Joe Montalvo. I hope everybody's having a great evening, great afternoon, great morning, wherever you are on our beautiful blue planet. Sorry about those moments of silence. I'm not sure what the hell was going on with Pal Talk there, but apparently we are live and we are here with everyone. I want to welcome everybody in the virtual auditorium. Hey, guys, what's up? Little thin in the room tonight. I wonder what's up with that. It is the holidays, and I know everyone is shopping.
We shall persevere.
Oh, yeah, but whoops. Hey, guys, sorry about that. I guess Pal Talk is glitching pretty hard. So while we're talking, I'm going to introduce a guest this evening. And while they're introducing themselves, I am going to go ahead and open up our backup servers on live stream. I mean, not on live stream, on InSpeak, because Pal Talk seems to be very, very glitchy. And Pal Talk is one of the mediums that carries out to all the different servers like Livestream and Ustream and Live 365 and Microsoft and Winamp and all the other stuff that were on. That's how they're picked up. So I will be backing that up and putting this on InSpeak. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar with InSpeak, it is just another chat server, just like Pal Talk. If for some reason you're in a virtual auditorium and we do lose y'all, we will have that room opened up as well as a backup, overflow and backup. How's that? Anyway, getting on to what we're talking about tonight. Tonight's guests are going to be November Hanson and Jason Wilson. Now, for most of my listeners, y'all should know who both of them are. Both of them are iCar directors. Both of them contribute a great deal to the organization, and we will be getting into several topics tonight. Also, feel free to call in, later in the show, 504-273-7379. That's also going to become iCar's new call-in number because the radio station's getting another new phone number. But anyway, 504-273-7379. I see what you just typed in the room. November, bad November.
Just checking, making sure you're paying attention.
Yes, I was reading. But anyway, tonight's guest, November Hanson, Jason Wilson. Of course, we're going to let ladies first. So, proper introduction. November Hanson is our Oregon State Director. She's the big wig up in Oregon. She's also just got through building a research site. Jason named her as in charge of research for iCar these days. And of course, I don't know who Jason is. Jason Wilson is our North American director, and he will be introducing himself in just a moment. So, November, go ahead.
Introduce myself. Okay, I'm November Hanson. I am the former host of Voice of the People Radio, which is now hosted by my good friend Greg. And let's see, I've been researching in the UFO community since 1998 actively. Recently, I did take over what was the fancy title Jason gave me? International Director for Research for iCar.
Yep. I
have a website set up. I'm working with another young lady named Heather, and we've got research projects up there. We'll talk about that a little bit later on because I want Joe to have the opportunity to introduce Jason, too.
Jason. Now, listen, audience, I'm going to be polite about this. Jason is by now. Shame the hell on y'all. He's been on. Following me enough that y'all.
Texas State Director, but got it recently. Got my buddy Joe Renard taking good care of my favorite state now. Basically, I've been involved in researching the contactee field since about 1998 myself. I'm sure we'll get into that in the show because the late 90s was an interesting time for the awareness of people in extraterrestrial contact and UFO sightings in general, so I'm sure we'll get into that one later. Basically, what I do is I can't really take very much credit for anything myself because as North American Director, I've got numerous other directors below me, and November, our Supreme Research Director, Supreme International, whatever you want to call it, November. It's up to you. We can
Detail November.
But, yeah, basically what I do is, my main job is, I coordinate the hard work of a lot of other people below me. I can't really take too much credit for any of it by myself, November mentioned Heather, who I've been coordinating with, and let me tell you, she is on the ball, and will probably be a whole lot more responsible for any of the good research and any of the good ideas that come out of iCar than I will ever be, so, I don't know, it's just what I do. I take credit for other people's hard work.
Yes, and I take credit for all their damn hard work. So, it's, guys, actually, Jason's being modest, but since he's taken over as North American Director, he's actually got quite a bit done. And he makes my life, to be blunt about this, much easier because, frankly, with him and Tree Sheridan, who's a new U.S. Director, with them two in place, I really no longer have to worry about Canada, America, or Mexico, for that matter, which, frankly, y'all don't know. I mean, it's iCar, with the exception of Europe, it's the busiest part of iCar. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot of people to keep tabs on all this stuff, and there's a lot of information going in. There's a lot of information coming out, and frankly, there's so much of it coming in that it's easy for all of us. We'll all be moving in a direction. I am sorry. Pal Talk is actually a little squirrely tonight. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, sorry for the interruptions. It's going to be an irritating night, I can tell, if this keeps up. I'm not sure about that. But to make a long story short, guys, all the directors really work in their own directions, moving in their own projects. And from time to time, we get together. Sometimes it's in public like this. Sometimes it's on the phones or just chit-chatting with different groups. And we start formulating opinions, conclusions, thoughts, designs, hypotheses, theories, whatever you'd like to call them. That's where they all start, and that's where they all come from. Now, there's a lot of stuff already in ICAR. There's a lot of data already present. So a lot of the stuff is simply building and adding to what we're doing. But in all frankness, from time to time, like with the recent reptilian stuff and with the blood type studies, we have learned that sometimes what we thought was one way turns out to be something else. And I've mentioned this before. In the old days, we used to talk about abductions being basically a third, a third, and a third. A third human, a third gray, and a third reptilian. But thanks to the amount of research done, and one of the projects that November triggered a few years back showed us something different. It showed us the overall amount of reports coming in for the grays is 4 times what it is for anything else. The humans, right now in our database, almost 68% of all reports are from gray contactees. The other 25-30% are from the reptilians and the human contactees. Now, see, before we weren't seeing that. And then once we started posting the studies and people weren't actually having to fill out reports, we started seeing a noticeable difference in how many people were saying they were this, that, or the other thing. So it actually at that point made us get.
All right.
All right, welcome back. Jason's with y'all, guys. I'm going to be playing with something. Go ahead, Jason.
And as Joe was alluding to, ICAR basically, well, a little bit more about ICAR is, I view ICAR as like this. It's pretty much an independent republic of independent researchers, all together under the same banner, working towards the same goal. I don't know. It can be an interesting. It can be an interesting place to work for. I mean, certainly not everybody in the group agrees with everybody else, especially given, the vast amount of types of contact that are out there. I mean, there are certain, tangents and shades of contact that, I don't even deal with. I mean, I pretty much specialize with, a certain type of contactees that have a coalescing experience and more or less come together to me. We have other people that work with other more esoteric types of, contact, which I'm just trying to be nice here too. But basically what I'm saying is, we pretty much got this field covered, and we've got our thumb on the pulse of the phenomenon in ways that, other organizations and other groups might not have access to. I don't know. Joe was talking about the breakdown of some of the types of contact that have been occurring too, and who's getting who when. Well, I'd like to say one of the trends that I've noticed in the last several months or so is the amount of reptilian contact. And with things like the event tracker and all of our different surveys in general, well, maybe we can kind of figure this out a little bit here.
Well, that's what I'm setting out to do. And I want to make this point. I think Jason was suggesting earlier that I might be below him. I think everybody should send him an email and correct his, comments.
I'm staying out of this.
Oh no! As the supreme researcher for research, no, I don't like that title very much. I have to come up with a better one.
Research.
You're the boss. If you have anything that I can do that requires that, all you have to do is ask, and well, I'll start jumping and ask how high you need me to go.
Okay, well, let me talk about this research stuff just a little bit before you guys get all wound up in something else. I've actually done some research projects already. I started them, 4 or 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. I did the Gray questionnaire, and there's an actual book. It's on the website that has discoveries, ideas, thoughts, whatever that whole spiel that Joe gave earlier, as far as what could be going on or what might not be going on. There's a whole lot of information in there. Notice they keep omitting the light beings. Yeah, I got to say something about them. They are reported in some of these abductions. It's not something anybody's really taken on yet, though. The other thing was personality traits. I had highly suspected earlier on that people within the UFO community, if you will, for lack of a better term, their personality was going to be different than the community at large, which I did find out. In fact, that is the truth. That is also on this new website. It's also on the ICAR 1 Homestead website. Another one that's just been opened up is the dream research. And I don't mean a dream as in this is what I really want to do. I mean, I'm talking dreams when you go to sleep at night. I've been wanting to do that for a while. So far, I have 16 people who have responded. I need at least 30 before I can start putting data together. That's also on the website, and I'll give you, this poor website has so many domain names, it doesn't know what to do with them. Thanks to Joe. Another one that's coming online probably at the end of this week is experiencers and their occupations. The survey has been on the ICAR website, but Heather is going to also add it to my site. We're working with Google Drive to try to streamline collecting the data. Like I said, that should be up and running by Friday. We're working on it. Let's see, what else is on there? Oh, the event tracker. It's a weekly survey. It's a very short survey. Who gets those little inklings, the other shoe's about ready to fall. I've had a strange conversation with my sister. I had this funny vision when I was driving down the road. I had this unusual dream that just won't leave me alone. And what this is for is that over the past we've had events. Sometimes I get tired of talking because I name the same events all the time. But we have that great tsunami, not the Japanese one, the Indian one, the space shuttle disaster, 9/11, Hurricane Katrina, several of these events. I tend to think they might be something global, something we're tuned into, something that doesn't have a name yet. Anyway, so the event tracker is for people to go there. They're having these unusual experiences. They can, type or fill out the 10 questions, whatever it is. I put it up on a weekly basis. It remains up there for about 6 weeks. The idea behind it is sometime in the future, say October 21st, 2013, there's some big earthquake someplace. Did people have some kind of inclination that something like this was going to happen, even if it was just something really subtle? And, so sometimes I might not get any reports in a week. Everybody's just, moving along. And other times there might be that little cosmic consciousness or whatever we're going to call it going on, and I'll have 10 or 15 on there. So I'll put updates on the website, what kind of things are coming in, if there's anything, to update. And, yeah, so there's also some future projects coming up. A research project on people in the UFO community and their value systems, and another one that has to do with the health of the people within the UFO community. And I'm working with Heather on one, and I'm working on my own on the other one. Those will also be added to the site in the coming weeks, months. And I'm also including the blood study from the ICAR site that Joe did. I cleaned it up, put it on a Google Doc, and I'll be adding that to the website soon too. So all the research, hopefully, will eventually just be in one little nice little piece. And anybody else that wants to do projects that are ICAR directors, let me know. Tell me what your idea is. Let's get you set up and going.
Yeah, hear that, directors? I know some of y'all are listening to the show, so get out there and get them going. And actually, by the way, so y'all notice, ladies and gentlemen, all the original questionnaires, all of that is still up on the site. It's never been taken down. Probably never will be taken down. Even as we conclude a research project, we still leave the project available because we may want to revisit it online because it'll have accumulated more data again. So it's good. We can do some research, come to a conclusion, post an article, do a show about it, whatever, release it to the general public, and then 2 or 3 years later, matter of fact, I didn't tell this in November, but I've got probably another 200 or 300 grays in my email, just sitting there from the report from before. And other stuff that we do, like the human report that I'm working with out of Brazil, we've probably got about 500 of them just sitting in there, because these are all reports that have been concluded, have come to conclusions, and are now sitting there gathering data for the next time that we decide to look through them again. It's a great process, guys, and I got to say, it's going to give us more research than any 10 organizations out there combined. They're just, one, nobody has the amount of people that come and see us, and two, frankly, no one's doing the kind of research we're on any basis, which still just freaks me out. You would think with us that there would be some other UFO groups, or I should say abduction groups out there, that would want to do this in a much more serious fashion, but hey, I guess I'm wrong about that. What do y'all think?
No, I agree, Joe, because I go to websites. I mean, before I really started actively doing, research for ICAR, I would go to websites. They got these cute little questionnaires. You fill them out, and then I think, what do they do with them? There's no data anyplace, no report or anything like that shows, how many people participated, what kind of responses that they got, what the percentages were as far as who had an extra vertebrae or who had ESP seriously, I just have not seen that anyplace. Now, maybe it's out there and I just haven't run across it. But I've ran across that will have these questionnaires, but yet it doesn't appear that anything's ever really done with them. And I wanted to change that. I wanted people to see, yes, we gather the information, and yes, we do something with it. And, you can look, you can agree, disagree, have comments, everything's confidential, nobody's names are given out, and anybody that's going to do a project will have to understand that. We're not allowed to give out anybody's names, email addresses, color of hair as far as that goes. Because, I like to protect the people that participate. So.
Well, no, it's true, and it's one of the reasons I do think that we do get the people who do come to us is because we are under non-disclosure agreements. We do keep information private. And to answer Sarah's question, hey, Sarah, where are you from? California. Well, hey, nice to see you out there. No, there is stuff that we don't make public, and there will always be some stuff that we don't make public. Frankly, it's for our benefit, not y'all's. It's so we know who's lying and telling the truth. I'm not going to even lie about it. That's what it's really about. But I don't think y'all understand how much data we do make available. I'm listening on another show the other night. Someone, one of these contactees from Sirius or wherever, and I'm listening to her speak. And about every 10th or 11th thing she says is ICAR-based research. She goes into the generational things. She goes to other things that only we talk about, and we were the ones that originally put it forward. So it's weird to hear other people talk about a data, especially when we're not getting credit for it. But still, it tells you how much is out there now. I mean, literally, tons of it's out there. And we don't rubber stamp it as ICAR data. We just release it, whether it's radio shows or however it's released, it's released. So we just wanted to y'all, but like I said, we do have to keep some stuff to ourselves. Now, while I'm thinking about
actually, one more thing I wanted to add about the studies was, that's just the next evolution of our research. I mean, it's one thing to, be in the field and talk to a number of people and, have a loose statistical idea of certain trends, certain quirks about the population of contactees, whatever type of data you're trying to mine out of that. Well, it's just the evolution of what we're doing. I mean, have noticed trends over the years, like certain batches of contactees will have certain weird circumstances happen to them at the same time. I mean, as November was talking about, this could be anything from, people remembering straight-up abductions to, I had the weirdest dream, and it starts getting interesting when, a couple of dozen people are contacting you, telling you about the same general weird dream that they had over a 2 or 3 night time frame. Peaks and sightings, people start finding, unexplainable marks all over their bodies. I don't know, it's interesting just to be able to have and plot these things out over time and location, and, that just gives us, a little bit more direction and fine-tunes our research that much more. And, this is something that most people involved in the field with can definitely get aboard on. I mean, I'd really like to see it work out where, there's eventually, pretty much a worldwide researcher database that everybody can add their information to, call it, mine it, look for trends, notice trends, whatever you're looking for. I don't know, I'd eventually like to see somebody collaborate and have, ICAR and every other researcher and every group out there working on a database, but, if something's going to happen like that, somebody's got to be.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. Skype dropped us for some reason. Hopefully, Jason and November will be back with me. Jason, you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Did I get cut off mid-ramble?
No, you just wrote that last word, and I actually cleared up the audio. That was weird. I don't know. Skype just kicked us. And, before we move on, I got a bunch of new updates from Skype yesterday, and I noticed now when the audio gets a little glitchy, it kicks its own self off, which kind of sucks when you're live. But, hey, if it clears the audio up, I won't gripe because it brought us right back. November, you back with us?
Yes, I'm here.
It was only like a second glitch, but anyway, I think you were just about to wrap up before he cut us off. I think. I ain't sure.
Yeah, it was a good stopping point anyway.
Yeah, well, because there's so much for us to do, and there is a need for a lot of organization. I don't understand, and I know both of y'all have experienced this, and November's the nicest out of the three of us here by far, and but even she's experienced this. I mean, there are just organizations out there, for whatever reason it is, they don't want to work with us. Denise, no, MUFON don't want to work with us, but that's half my fault, not all theirs. Okay, I have hated on their asses pretty heavy. Don't distract me anymore. But there are a lot of organizations, for one reason or another, that are scared to work with us. Now, Sasha brought in an organization that's working with us. Our Brazilian director brought in one. Our German directors brought in one. The Madrid directors brought in another one, and there's another Italian director brought in another group. And so they're coming in and they're merging with us, and they're becoming like sister groups or brother groups or affiliates, whatever you want to call them. So we're seeing that, but still, in the U.S. itself, in the mainstream part of this field, I'm not seeing much, how can I say this politely, love. It's more like we've become competition for everybody, and that's not what this is about. Kind of bothers me a little, because worldwide we're not seeing. Now maybe, now that the organization's reset itself in the U.S., maybe we'll see that trend change, but I do notice a lot of the different groups consider us competition. Maybe it's because of the radio station. What do y'all think?
Well, I think there's a lot of problems with, the field of ufology and abduction research in general.
Well, yeah, that's not...
Well, what constitutes a ufologist? I mean, just about anybody out there can get 5 minutes and look up a couple of general websites about ufology and call themselves a ufologist. I mean, and try to get themselves quoted as experts or whatever. I mean, there's just so much leeway in the field and so many people doing their own thing. I mean, you have to just take a look at the field of ufology in general. I believe as it stands, it's more of a edutainment type of field, that's fit for like History Channel and National Geographic and other type of documentaries like that. It's more of an edutainment thing than any kind of actual research. I mean, just take a look at the field. I mean, when you have, the fans of ufology out there that seem to be more or less, settled with people going out there doing ghost hunter type expeditions where you run around in the dark looking for evidence on the ground or aliens when it's dark and you can't see, running around acting scared like, oh my God, what was that? And then after the commercial break, you find out it's a cow or a squirrel or something like that. I don't know. There are people who are involved in this field because they have had their own experiences and they want to get down to the bottom of that. And I'd have to say the majority of the legitimate researchers and the vast majority of people who are affiliated with ICAR and helping us do research, well, they're experiencers themselves. I mean, we take this subject pretty damn seriously. I mean, it becomes a part of your life that you have to live with. And I think part of the problem is the field of ufology. There's a constant people out there trying to form cults of personalities, sell their books, push some kind of peace, love, and light, religious type space brothers, we're all going to be okay agenda. I mean, it just gets genuinely frustrating when you have been subject to extraterrestrial contact yourself and you see your peers in the field not even taking it seriously. Well, that's what we're trying to do, take it seriously. Oh, and don't even get me started on the Galactic Federation and all that peace, love, and light stuff. I mean,
that was what was on
I mean,
Monday.
I can't hate on all of the people that, you know, in that particular genre of the field. I've come across some who are actually giving pretty consistent information on what my more pragmatic contactees, as I like to call them, are receiving, but, well, that's few and far between, so I'll just leave it at that.
The Galactic Federation is interesting in itself. I will say that it's entertaining. Leave it at that. But it would make it too with what November's doing right now. It would make her life so much easier if you had the different groups. Like, well, I'm not going to mention anybody's name, but the different groups were having their contactees come take the different tests or come take the different questionnaires. It would help everybody out. And I've actually told this to several groups, including MUFON, by the way. We're willing to share the data. I said, I would talk with the research directors, and I said we could even give you raw data, but we want your people to participate. Now, in the past, I have to say, MUFON has agreed to this, and we have done a couple of things in the past. All of it covert, but still, hey, you know, it works. But there are a lot of groups out there that have small groups of contactees, 25, 50, 100. You know, contactees tend to cluster together. It's part of what they do. And we want their feedback. We want their feedback. We want them to get involved. We want them to take the questionnaires. And this is a good way to help and stay anonymous. Or it's a good way to help and not stay anonymous, but not have to participate other than taking a questionnaire. It's just a good way of contributing without having to do something like what we're doing up here. If you know, there's levels of involvement that can help out. And anybody who, you know, everybody should go take the questionnaire that's a contactee. They really should. They should pop over to the ICAR. What is it now? iCarResearch.com. Is that what it is now?
Oh, my goodness. Isn't it iCar dash?
Research.com. That's right. See, I almost forgot that.
Yeah. iCar-research.com, iCar-research.org, iCar-research.
All right, I got to look crazy.
10 times fast.net. I don't know. And then there's iCarResearch.tk, and I'm not sure who did that one. That wasn't mine. Well, anyways, and it's on the iCar One Homestead site, access to it.
It's on the news. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. The iCar1.com. Okay, I know we're confusing people here. There's iCar1.homestead.com. That is the old 500-page site. There's a lot of data there, and we're not sure what left there that we want to put on the new iCar1.com site. The iCar.com one site has been completely upgraded. All the old directors have been taken off. All the new directors have been taken on, along with all the new positions. All that has been added. The research projects have been added. And our little genius webmaster decided to make this site 50K, or I should say modem friendly, okay? Which means if you're on high speed, it's like real time when you're on our site. I'm not kidding y'all. Everything on that site is like click, 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 click. I mean, as fast as you click, as fast as the site runs. It is fantastic. But if you're on dial-up, it actually works. And it doesn't make you wait 10 minutes to look at a page. I got to give the guy credit. It was a phenomenal thing he did. And it's just a good way of doing it. Yeah, is that what it is? See, I get confused on all of this. iCar-research.com.
Well, you buy the .com and they give you the .org, the .tk, the .everything else for practically free anyway.
Yeah, they do. And we own, I think we own 45, maybe 50 domain names at GoDaddy now. Oh, by the way, I got some going up on auction. AlternativeTalk.com and .org are going up on auction. To the person who just asked me about the election ones, no. I should have sold them this past election, but I kept them, and I will probably keep them until 2016. It'll be a good election. It'll be a good time. Maybe I'll donate them to one of the campaigns.
Hey, the midterms are coming up, too.
Oh, that's true, too. Maybe they are. So, but anyway, long story short, iCar1.com or iCar1.homestead.com is two different sites. A lot of it repeated. The iCar1.com is much cleaner, much faster, much easier to use. And right now, is averaging around 2,000 clicks a day. I'm quite impressed with that little site. And when it was the old site, it averaged about 500 clicks a day. So it shows you like cleaning it up makes a difference. That's irritating, by the way, but I can understand that. The new site is much cleaner and much smoother. The old site is much more of a cluster. Well, we'll just call it a cluster and leave it at that. It served its purpose for almost a full decade, so I'm not going to criticize it. And it had 3 different designers. And it's probably one of the largest sites on the internet. It's out of control. Oh, and Shirley, to answer your question, no, you can link to Davenport's site through the new iCar1.com site, but it's not set up like the old site is. The old site had each individual state and each individual country where you could just click, and it took you to Peter Davenport's site and showed you all the information there.
So Ryan's got a good question. I've been meaning to get back to you on that one too, Ryan. I know we work with Farah. Oh, what's her last? I butcher her last name every time. Yeah, I can't pronounce it to save my life. I want to know if we've got anybody in Turkey.
That's fair.
Her, but we got anybody else on the ground over there?
There's 2 others over there that assist her. I could find out for you. But Farah does handle most of our stuff in Turkey. But hey, if she makes you nervous or something, there are 2 other people in Turkey that can help you out that's working with us. We've got a new German director coming on board this year, and I wasn't going to tell you all this tonight, but I was going to wait. iCar is associated politics, whether we agree, disagree, or not. We share a lot of directors with exopolitics. And I was at a meeting the other day, a Skype meeting, with about 12 of Stephen Bissett's directors who want to come on board with us in their individual countries as iCar directors. Now, they're all like 3 exopolitics directors already working with us, so it's not a big deal. And when I say exopolitics, this is Stephen Bissett brand of exopolitics, not Michael Sala or Alfred Weber. And I have respect for all 3 guys, by the way, but Stephen's into the disclosure stuff, and the people working with him are much more detail-orientated. Michael Sala's working with the abduction stuff and stuff along those lines, and we still do keep close ties with him and see what's going on. But, we are working with him. And for everybody who's familiar with last night's interview, Stephen has launched the Citizens Project, the Citizens Hearing Project, which is they're basically going to get every known witness, every person who's ever worked for the government or Milan or JPL or anything along those lines, and they're putting together a conference next year. Actually, it's a hearing next year in the Washington Press Club, and they're bringing in 5 ex-congressmen to hear it. This ought to make the news all over the place. We will definitely be there working press. I talked with him about that last night. But these are the kind of things that we like to be associated with. These are people doing legitimate research in hardcore areas and hard-fought areas. And anybody who's ever listened to Steve and I knows we don't appear. And November and Jason are probably the same way. I personally, unless E.T. discloses, I don't think there'll be disclosure in my lifetime. Unless E.T. does it. I just, the contactees are already disclosed. There's already disclosure. We talk about it all the time. But as far as Barack Obama or whoever's the next president after him disclosing it, I can't even see a reason why they would disclose. So, but I'm always willing to back anybody who wants to fight with the government over disclosure, because I think keeping secrets is a bad thing.
Well, the whole UFO Area 51 Roswell technology question always raises its head at some form, especially in the primary process. And I don't know.
You know what?
Anybody who appears to take the question seriously is going to get torn up by the media and everybody else is running against them. oh, you're the UFO next. I mean,
we need to find November.
A politician coming clean about aliens and UFOs? No, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, no. We need to find November an intern so we can launch a UFO project. I keep getting requests. Look, and I've said this before, guys. When it comes to UFOs, really, MUFON, Davenport, Filer, pretty much UFOs. That's pretty much who you got these days. Davenport, MUFON, Filer. Before Dee had gotten sick, her and I had discussed adding a UFO division to ICAR, but frankly, I don't have the time. And to be frank about it, I don't have the interest for it. Chasing Lights in the Sky, I like to do when I got free time. I happen to be around, see something I find interesting, I might go check it out. But it's not something I want to do every day. So frankly, I don't think the truth is going to come from chasing lights in the sky. Okay, I think the truth is going to come from the contactees and what's going on with them. And frankly, that's where I find the information to be. But because we do have such a large organization now, and we will be breaking, I'm pretty sure, records in ufology field on how large of an organization it'll be. I am willing to entertain a UFO division, but I'm not running it. And I know Jason ain't running it. And I know November ain't running it.
No, I'm not going to do UFOs. UFOs are a dime a dozen.
You know what?
Well, here's the thing about UFO research in general. I believe it has a lot of value. And, I mean, I might hate on MUFON a little bit because I've had a couple of bad personal experiences with them myself. But, hey, for the most part, they do their job of taking sighting reports, cataloging them, and, putting them up there for people to read and peruse through. There are a couple of other people that do that. Davenport, UFO Sightings Report. There's a number of organizations out there that are doing that. I mean, I think it would be kind of redundant for ICAR to do it. I mean, especially when there are already people that are better organized that have been doing this for decades.
I agree. I mean, like I said, if we're going to do it, then we need to bring somebody in that wants to do just that, make it just a separate division, because frankly, I agree. I mean, there's better organizations out there suited for chasing lights in the sky than us.
I personally refer people to Peter Davenport and Newport, to report their sightings to. That's how I handle it.
Actually, I think on the sites that's ICAR's official UFO reporting is Peter Davenport. I'm pretty sure, because we do keep his links on our sites. I'm pretty sure that's who we are. But to Sarah who again about MUFON, no, feel free to write to MUFON about UFOs. If you're an abductee, no, you don't want to be there because, frankly, their abduction research stinks. But if you're having sightings or involved with alien craft or things like that, yeah, they're a good organization to call.
Well, I'll say one other good thing about MUFON too is, regardless of the organization, there are a lot of good individual members within the group that, I think it would be worth your time to get a hold of some of these individuals, based on their own merits, not MUFON in general, but yeah, they do have some good people and they don't all suck.
No, they don't. And in all fairness, we share probably half of MUFON's 2,500 members are ICAR members. So in all fairness, we do share a lot of membership with them, and we even share a couple of directors. So, we're, as an organization, especially November, we're willing to work with anybody. We really are. Just the reason I said November is because she's just nicer than Jason and I are.
I'll admit, I'm pretty easygoing. I'm about information and data collection and seeing what we can come up with. I'm not into the politics of it all.
Yes, she gets quite perturbed with me when I talk about that, by the way.
The politics, the infighting, I mean, God, that's one of the worst things about the entire field of ufology right there is entirely that. I mean, let me tell you, I got some stories. I have some stories about people that you've all probably heard of that would make your jaw drop to the floor. But I won't go into any of that crap right now, which I hear about, but, I mean, God, I try not to participate in.
Don, to answer your question, yes, the Cafe Press site is up. And to be truthful, I forgot about the site. I forgot we had it. Yeah, I know, bad Joe. I had forgot all about it. The only reason I remembered is they sent me a check. What it does is because it's a paid-for site, anything it sells it has to cover itself every month. So Cafe Press texts it. So apparently it wasn't making any money, so I wasn't paying attention. And they sent us something the other day, but I talked with Stephanie Bonetti about taking over the duties of that site and cleaning it up and making it a little bit more professional and adding a few subject matters. I mean, we're adding a few more products to the line. I just recently had them decrease the profit margin to 2% or 3%. Really, it's really there for advertising more than it is for anything else. But there is a lot of good artwork there. And by the way, while I'm on this, if you're an ICAR member or just someone who listens to the show or any of the shows, and you would like to donate artwork to the organization for those purposes, feel free. But no, I'm saying it ahead of time. You will get a piece of paper back saying that we have the right to use it for whatever we want, because what we're doing is some of our contactees are submitting artwork that will be going on T-shirts and mugs and stuff like that. Like the ICAR thong, which someone just sent me a instant message about. Yes?
What's weird is I've actually, in the past couple of weeks, I've had a couple of people inquire about the availability of the infamous Joe Montaldo face thong.
Oh, God. Yeah, you cannot get my face on a thong, just so y'all know. It ain't out there. Before anybody even writes to me and asks me, no, you can't. You can get a lot of things on that thong. There's I don't know, 100-something pictures of it. The one that sells the best, there's actually two that are tied right now. It's a white one, and it says ICAR in the front of it. It's in purple. It just says ICAR. That's it. It sold quite a few. And there's another one that's a circle with it's a really interesting photo that's on it. And that's the other one. Other than that, everything else on it sells is pins and T-shirts. A lot of pins get sold. A lot of, the kind you pin on your lapel, that kind of stuff. I don't know. They're cool looking. I know that. I bought some to take to give away at conferences. They look cool as hell, I got to say. But all it does is just help us pay for websites and upkeeps and bandwidth. And the old days, I gotta be frank, we didn't have enough members or enough visitors to worry about bandwidth issues. Unfortunately, now we have 3 sites that regularly bust their bandwidth. I mean, the Paranormal Radio, the archive site last month, busted their bandwidth by 500 gigs. The ICAR site busted its bandwidth by about 40 gigs. So it shows you the amount of traffic coming through there. And both companies give us a good amount of space for what we pay. So, well, let me put it this way. With GoDaddy and Homestead, we have both Tier 1. It's the highest packages they have. That's what the station and the organizations run on. And we do use multiple servers. We use Homestead, GoDaddy, and Kanika.
Well, there's a lot of people in general that are more interested in the field, and I don't know, in the last 10 years or so, I'd say we've watched the field of ufology and, well, paranormal in general kind of, just explode and get huge. I mean, back when I was younger, I mean, what was the most exposure that you had to, the alien and UFO topic? I mean, there's, a couple of In Search Of specials. Every now and then they run a UFO or abduction story on Unsolved Mysteries. I mean, that was pretty much it, I don't know, it all just seemed to really blow up about the time the X-Files got really popular. There's just something magical about the 90s that, I mean, the field really kind of came into its own. Yeah. Especially in the late 90s, as both November and I kind of alluded to it earlier. I mean, there are certain just periods of, how can you call it, generalized awakening that, happen every decade or so that, I don't know, it's just weird. Timing of it all is just really, really weird. I mean, most of the contactees that you talk to, I guarantee if you ask what was going on with them and their contact in the late 90s, most of them will probably tell you that's about the time things got interesting.
We got Michael Mansfield is writing in. Where are you writing in from? Oh, from England, London, England. Like that. Hello, this question is actually directed at November, I believe. Let me see. Yes, okay. It is for November. He directed his question. His first part of the question is basically he wants to know why and how you got into this field. What do you hope to achieve in it? And have you ever thought that you were just crazy for being involved with it? And the last part was,
do it in my spare time. I have a totally ordinary life. I have a job, a family that I'm very much part of. I've also got a lot of background noise, and I have no idea where that's coming from. I apologize for that.
Sorry about that.
At the end of the 90s, I was having some very intense, unusual experiences. I didn't know where to put it. So just asked questions, snooped around a bit, and thought it might fit into this field just nicely. And so I don't know. I have more questions than I do answers. The research, what do I hope to gain by that? I'm not out to gain anything, and to be quite honest, I think what I'm doing now is what nobody's done before yet, and real results will probably come 25 to 50 years from now. Somebody else will pick up on these research projects, maybe not all of them, but some of them, and do something with it. I don't know that we're at a point in our technology and our own evolution. You know, it's kind of the start of something that I'll probably never see the end of. And I don't know, it's fascinating to me. I've talked to hundreds of people who've had these experiences. And so many of them, especially in the late 90s, they wanted to be able to talk about the subject openly without being judged. And maybe that's what this is all about. I just want it to be able to be done, and people don't need to be judged. If it's of interest to them, why does anybody else care? They're still doing their daily lives. They're still raising their families. There just happens to be something a little bit different. And I don't know if that answers the question adequately, but that's, you know, in a nutshell.
No, thanks for the answer. And Mike, thanks for writing in from London. It's always nice to have Londoners. I know it's wee hours of the morning over there. It's like almost 2 a.m. their time. So I'm glad you're up having a Joe or a drink, whatever y'all have.
I'll just put it this way. Anybody who has come to the conclusion that, yes, I am involved in some strange aliens do have some kind of interest in me, and I believe in visiting, and nobody comes to that conclusion lightly. Okay, there is so much second guessing, so much internal psychoanalyzation. I mean, it's not a conclusion that anybody comes to lightly. I mean, in a lot of cases, it takes literally decades and decades of strange experiences and strange coincidences and, you know, things that simply cannot be explained away conventionally before somebody will come down to the conclusion and say, okay, yes, or maybe I am an extraterrestrial contactee for, you know, reasons I'd like to figure out. You know, that's where most people are. I mean, yeah. You question your own sanity quite a bit.
Yes, Honey Boo Boo going to be a millionaire, and the fact that she's from the South makes me want to cry. Sorry about that, Jason. I just seen that number. That was not even a good comment for what Jason just finished up saying. But we're going to be going to break. Hey, Sky, I seen you had your hand up. You can call in on the. Well, let me see where I can see the actual call-in line. Sorry if I'm not looking at it. I've got the audio turned off, so I can't hear it. So I got to actually be looking at the screen. So we're going to be taking a break here in just a few minutes, and I will be turning y'all over to some music in a few seconds here. One more question I've seen. Hold on, where did it go? Well, you'd think by now I'd keep these questions up on my screen. Okay, this is from Harrison, and he is writing in from Diamond Head, Mississippi. I wonder if that's, well, anyway, I won't embarrass him in case it is him. Basically, this question is for Jason. He wanted to know, oh, now this is a question I do hear a lot, by the way. He wants to know, what kind of experiences would you consider to be good and bad in your own?
As far as the good and bad thing goes, I don't know, a lot of that just depends upon the perspective. From my personal experiences, which if I went into, we'd run over the break, and that would be like a 2 or 3 hour show on itself right over there. But from my experiences, I'd have to say, well, look at it from this perspective. The fact that there are against their will to be and against their not even being allowed to remember, not even being allowed to remember, that can be considered intrinsically bad. Hey, I can definitely see that point of view. You're not asking for this contact, it happens, and there's doesn't appear to be a damn thing that you can do to stop it. From that point of view, you can consider it, pretty negative and pretty bad. I mean, that's a violation of, your basic rights right there. I can't begrudge anybody that looks at it from that particular point of view. From the point of view that I pretty much take about it is, look, I think that there are a lot of things that have happened to me, and a lot of people share that same sentiment. There's more going on than they can actually remember, and that they genuinely like to unlock some of that just to know what's going on. But from the perspective of, and I'm not trying to speak for contactees in a whole, but an awful lot of my sample group feels that way. They don't necessarily look at it as good or bad, based on that evidence. It's, the fact that they're taking you is bad. The fact that they're bringing you back could be considered good. There are a lot of people that do remember a lot of the negative experiences, straight up medical experiments, psychological type mind games, a myriad of things that you can consider negative experiences, but I don't know, as far as outright evil, yeah, I know a few people who think that what is going on is bad, good can come out of it, yeah, some people even look at it from a demonic perspective. I guess a lot of it just depends on, who you are, what your experiences have been, and basically how you feel about it. I've noticed I believe a lot of that is simply fear of the unknown and not knowing what's happening to you. As these people progress, have more experiences and become a little bit more aware of what's going on, the attitude can, even change, something to like a begrudging, something to like accept a begrudging, go on with it, and actually want it to happen so they can get more information and try to figure it out. And every now and then you have a couple of people that decide, hey, whatever's happening to me, I'm on board. I want to willingly participate with this and help it happen. It just really, a lot of it depends on, who the contact is, where they are psychologically, how long they've been dealing with it. Different people take it in different ways, I guess is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, and they do deal with it different ways. But I know, guys, we're going to jump out of here right quick because we're running over on the break. Nancy, about your UFO question, maybe we'll address that when we come back. Guys, everybody, we're going to be back in about 8 minutes. I want everyone to please stay tuned to UFO Undercover. I'm sitting and speaking with Jason Wilson and November Hanson. Come back and join us, and we'll open the phone lines in a second hour. So see y'all in 8.
Hi, I'm psychic medium Chris George.
And I'm Stephanie Benetti. Psychic medium, are you sure about that, Chris? It's more like psychic extra large.
Yeah, real funny, Benetti. But then again, being my girlfriend, you would know. Together, we are Second Sight NYC, a parapsychic radio show based out of New York City.
Join us each week.
Each Friday evening at a Global Focus's new time, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern. Come join the discussion.
Light up your night with The Kevin Smith Show. Hi, this is Kevin Smith. Join me Monday through Friday right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
Hey, hi there. Got your attention? I'm Gia Scott, and I was curious what you were doing from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time on Tuesdays. See, I host this really interesting little radio program that airs live then, and we bring in all sorts of guests. Authors, experiencers, and everything in between. It's paranormal and guaranteed to make you go, My guest list is always up at www.giascott.com, and do tune in to the Dawn of Shades from 7 to 9 p.m. on Tuesdays.
Breaking news. Strange black pyramid UFO ships over every major city on the Earth. People are exhilarated when scared. Reptilian strange creatures are beaming down. My God, they're beaming me up with them. Don't put that probe there. Don't put that probe there. Don't put Listen to the Church of Mabus radio show at 11 p.m. Eastern, Saturday nights with host Jeffrey Pritchett, bringing you the high strange. Visit www.churchofmabusradio.com. That's www.churchofmabusradio.com.
Mind Cemetery, where the paranoia about the paranormal comes to rest.
Follow us on Twitter and subscribe to us on Facebook. Also, check us out on our website, mindcemetery.com, for show updates and the critically acclaimed Mind Cemetery blog.
It's not critically acclaimed, but you should check it out anyway, mindcemetery.com.
Hi, everybody. This is Erica Getch. I hope to see you on Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific on the Galactic Connection, keeping you connected 1 hour at a time. For more information, please visit thegalacticconnection.com.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
Just couldn't participate.
yes, we did get a little on the geek speaky stuff at the break. But hey, computers are a great thing. Remember, guys, you can write to any of the three of us if you've got a question or a comment or anything along those lines. Feel free. Be sure to go check out all the sites. Every site we have, the UFO Undercover, the Paranormal Radio Network, the iCar1.com, and the iCar1.homesite.com, all link back to the iCar research site that November's handling and taking care of. It's her baby. And it all links back there. So go over there and participate, Get involved. If you got any good ideas, write to us. Look, we're always looking for new projects. And I have to agree with what November was saying just before the break. There's a lot of data here coming in every day. I mean, a lot. And as an organization goes, we know a lot more about abductions than probably any of the other 10 put together. But by saying that, I want y'all to understand, we still only have a small piece of the puzzle. Let's say this puzzle has 1 million pieces. iCar might have 10,000 pieces, whereas everybody else might have 500 pieces. But still, in a puzzle with 10 million pieces, what does 10,000 tell you? Not much. What is that, like the outside border or something? I mean, let's be honest about it. We're learning a lot, and we learn a lot every day. And I personally learn something new pretty much every day in this organization. But what's going to come out of it? November's right. A lot of this data will be used by our grandkids or great-grandkids. They'll probably incorporate this into a lot of their research, just like we did. I mean, when I first started, we used John Mack's work, we used David Jacobs' work, we used Bud Hopkins' work, we used Darrell Sims' work, we used MUFON's work. Quite a few other organizations out there like Elon Smith and Mary Rodwell and a few other people's. We incorporated this all in along with the original 5,000 case study a long time ago. And so it gave us a good base and a good place to start from. Now, of course, now we've been doing this a long time. We know that there's a lot of stuff wrong with Jacobs' work. The reptilians are here eating us and doing all this other stuff. And it's not that they're good or bad. It's just not what they were saying. It's not like what Ike's saying either. You have to use the data to find out what they're actually saying. The Greys, there's all kind of stuff about the Greys. The Greys work for this one. The Greys work for that one. The Greys did this. Well, we know that's not true now. We know that the reptilians and humans are both scared of the Greys. If the Greys work for anybody, it's for the light beams that November mentioned earlier, which I personally, now I can't speak for everybody else, but I don't think I have personally reviewed, I don't know, somewhere between 50 and 100 cases where the word light beam was even used. Now, what about you, November? I don't even think
I haven't seen a whole lot either. When I did do the Gray survey, I asked about presence of other entities, aliens. Light beings was one of them. I think there were 9 that responded that there was a presence of that. There was about the same amount of people, 9 or 8, let's go with 8 to 10, that reported, along with their Gray experience, that there was a reptilian experience or a human type or a mantis type or a light being type. So, I mean, there does seem to be some interaction there amongst what is being reported. We don't have enough data to really, I don't know, to assume, who's doing what and where. And I tend to think, just by what I've looked at and what I've listened to, that we're probably dealing more with a scientific study than anything. I don't think extraterrestrials are here to take over the planet. I don't think we would make very good slaves. I don't think we would make very tasty food. And I mean, seriously, I think anything that I've looked at, just me personally, it tends to be some kind of a scientific study. Mm-hmm. And it's done at a level that we don't have the terms for, we don't necessarily have all the knowledge for. As history progresses, as we evolve, and as our technology progresses, I think some things will change. The reason why I say that is there was this one story, I remember it from the 1970s. It was actually a TV show, and it was talking about a guy that had some kind of tube injection, something inserted into his nostril. And, of course, over the years, that developed into an implant. This is how they were doing implants so that they could track people. Quite frankly, I would think that advanced don't need no implants. We have DNA that will really sweetly identify us all as individuals. So there's no sense running around putting little things in people. But another thing is, if they were doing a scientific study, instead of putting something in somebody's head, maybe they were extracting something out. And like I said, better technology, new medicine, that types of things really led me to believe that that could be a possibility. So as we're doing our research, if you think about what people thought what was happening, back in the 70s, 60s era, and then you look at today, it has changed a lot, and it should. I mean, based on new information, you should be willing to change what it is that you're looking at.
You should. I agree with that 100% with us, but I never did understand the problem with, if you learn something new, changing it. 30 years ago, when a lot of this research got started, they didn't know half what we do today. And thanks to them, we do know a lot more than we do. And thanks to us, we know a lot more. And whoever comes along behind us is going to use theirs and our work.
Well, here's one of the things, Joe. I mean, one of the reasons that, some of our data and some of our theories about it have changed isn't because, the researchers themselves have changed. I mean, there are a lot of people out there that, come up with their set theory and they stick with it until the day they die and it never changes or anything like that. But it's not the researchers and the nature of the research or necessarily the nature of the experiences that are even really changing. The big change is the amount of people that are coming forward and, telling us about their experiences in the first place.
Yep.
And that's who we really owe everything to. I mean, it's one thing for me to say that, I'm Jason Wilson and I'm an expert in this field because I've been researching it since 1998, and that's, a decade and some change. That's a lot of years. Listen to me. Don't listen to me. I owe everything. Some of it is based on experiences that I've had. That's what got me interested in this field in the first place. But I have to say, I owe everything to the experiencers themselves. I mean, that's what this is all about. And, the people who come forward and share their experiences, I mean, that's the only way we're going to get to the bottom of the equation, and that's what we're trying to do here.
I agree, Jason, and that really goes along with the question the gentleman from England was asking earlier, asking, well, what kind of got you into this? Maybe it's, well, what keeps me into this? Going back 12 years, it was the child prodigy who eventually died of cancer, who became a very good friend of mine that was so interested in this subject. It had so many ideas that probably had some of the most brilliant ideas that really made sense. To the minister in another country, whose faith was never rattled, but he had an up close and personal UFO. He just knew for his own fact that there was life out there someplace, but it wasn't going to rattle his faith or change his life or anything like that. To the person who was the hospital director that had the great experience, that wanted the venue to be able to talk about it without being judged. I mean, I could just go on and on and on because there's been so many different people. They're interested. They want to know. They do understand that there's not all the answers out there, and a lot of them have really become to understand that we're dealing with a puzzle or a mosaic. We're dealing with something where there's so many different little pieces. Unless people are willing to give up their information, it's going to be hard to ever put together some kind of coherent picture. And that is what keeps me going with this. It's interesting. Age, it bridges. Sexual orientation, it bridges. Race, it bridges. Creed, it bridges. Religion, it bridges everything. And people can come together and talk about their experiences. And there is no, there's none of this, these other things that divide humanity on the planet. And it is a subject, it's also a gateway subject. I mean, you're not just learning about a UFO or an ET or what a reptilian might look like. You've got to read about science, you've got to read about medicine, you've got to read about ancient history, you've got to read about all kinds of different things in order to effectively study the field. You can't just put together a whole bunch of things and say, oh, this is it, this is the answer. Anthropology, that's another one. You have to be willing to study a whole bunch of other types of fields. Look at the emerging sciences and look at, possibilities of life elsewhere and all the different equations for that and Drake equation and whatnot. I mean, there's so many different things that you have to look at. This just is not a UFO and contactee exclusive field. It involves many different fields.
Yeah.
Psychology is another important aspect of it too, and that's one of the reasons I have a lot of respect for the late John Mack. This guy's a tenured Ivy League professor. He went into the field looking at these people claiming that they're having extraterrestrial contact, and he came away with the conclusion that yes, he learned an awful lot about how everyday people deal with extraordinary circumstances. And, that's something that we work with and we see every day with the people that we talk to. I mean, that's one of the things that you really start to, kind of, become a little bit more aware of once you dealt with a number of these individuals is, what makes them tick. How do they process this information? How do they deal with, being involved in something that's, so strange that, everyday society thinks you're an idiot just for even bringing it up? I mean, it's really interesting. That's psychology. Yeah, that's definitely one of the important aspects. And, I'd like to see another tenured professor, other experts in the field, or at least somebody with a PhD, take a look at the psychology of people who've experienced events of high strangeness, and make that, some official good scientific research. I think there are a lot of interesting conclusions that can, be made from that type of thing.
Oh yeah, are y'all staying out of trouble?
No.
No, I can just.
Why would I do that?
I can see Skyman's got his hand up. Quick thing, I was reading while I was listening because I was making coffee while y'all were talking. I was reading something. A lady wrote in. She asked me not to mention her name. I will tell you this. She's from Cleveland, Ohio. And she wanted to know why she should trust you, November. And for that matter, she wrote in right underneath that in big bold letters, why should I trust any of you people in what I may or may not know? Now, for me personally, you don't have to trust me. For me, what I would tell you, if you're going to deal with me or with any of my class directors, ask around. If you'd like us to provide references, we can do that. I mean, there's lots of contactees. The main thing is we are all under a non-disclosure agreement, so your information is safe with us. It's not going anywhere that you don't want it to go. So know that right off the bat. And we're not known for like other organizations where things just turn up in books or become books or anything like that. Stuff doesn't happen like that. And trust me, we've got some really good, scary stories. As far as trusting November, all I can tell you about that is I trust November implicitly. She knows that. I tell her all the time. She writes to me all the time, can we do this? Can we do this? I said, November, you can do whatever you want because I trust you, and I do. She's one of the few people, there's a handful of people I actually trust that much, and she just happens to be one of them. All I can tell you is get to know her, see who she is. She's quite personable. She's very nice. And 6 or 7 years she was doing radio, she only ever got one complaint. That's a miracle in itself because even Jason, who ain't even been on the air in 4 years, gets complaints. So I don't know how she did that. But I would tell y'all, if there's somebody you want to do research with, she's the lady you want to do research with. But I'll let her answer for herself now.
Well, no, it's a very good question. I agree. I would be asking myself the same thing if I was, looking to be a part of a study anyplace else. Why should I trust this individual? I really don't know how to, I can tell you, you can trust me because I really don't have anything to gain by this. For me, this is, I don't want to usually write either. This is what I choose to do with my spare time. I'm not looking for attention. I'm on a radio program because I want people to participate. I need to be on the radio to get the word out that we have these projects going. I have turned down a book deal because I don't want to sit around and write for, it's a nightmare to even do something like that. I just really haven't had any interest. My only interest is in moving the subject forward. That's it. And creating a venue in which people can feel comfortable openly talking about their experiences to whoever they want to or whoever they choose not to. I've done several studies. I've never released anybody's personal information. Most of the time I don't even ask personal information. When I say that, I have had people actually volunteer, email me and say, I work here or I do this or, if you need to contact me, this is my email address. Be careful what you say because it's coming through. I'm not giving anything away because I am that protective over the people who want to participate in these surveys. If I can't be trusted, if I by people participating, then I'm wasting my time even doing it to begin with. So I don't know what else to say. I really have nothing that I intend to gain by any of this except it is my own personal endeavor. It's my thing that I chose to do with my life.
Now, this.
See, I'm going to go off and say that you shouldn't trust me. Not at face value. You have no reason to implicitly trust me. For all intents and purposes, I'm some guy that you hear it on the radio now, and maybe heard me once or twice in the past. That's not enough to base a trust-based relationship or anything about. All I got to say is talk to me and get to know me. When it comes down to it, this is what the basis of, abductee research is people talking to people about their experiences. I've had my experiences. I'd like to hear yours. I'll just put it this way. I see where you're coming from. I don't just pick people at random and be like, I've seen UFOs and I've seen an alien on an occasion or two. Hell no, I don't trust anybody in that manner. For that matter, I wouldn't trust, my personal experiences because these are your own deeply personal, life-altering experiences that have happened to you. I wouldn't trust them at random to anybody, too. So I just have to say, well, just talk to me. Decide if you trust me or not, and hey.
Well, guys, Jason and I are both on Facebook, so you can reach us there. November is, but y'all don't bug November on Facebook. That's, just don't. Bug her or somewhere else. Jason and I have public profiles. You can bug the hell out of us. But the thing about it is, guys, is we're all very approachable. We're all willing to talk to you. We're all sitting down. There's lots of people you can ask about us. That's nothing. Now, Tyrone writes in from Quebec, Canada, and says, why should I trust anybody where everybody agrees on everything? Okay. For the record, the directors agree on a lot of stuff. I'm not going to lie to you. But by saying that, and this is the God's honest truth, we disagree on a lot of stuff. So what happens is, and this is usually how it works, it's not always how it works, but what usually happens is the stuff that is agreed upon that doesn't breach what we consider abduction criteria is made public. The stuff we don't agree on, and this is how it's usually handled, any director speaking on it, myself included, I know y'all have heard me talk about Betty and Barney Hill before, will tell you, no, this is not an ICAR research, or ICAR has no opinion in this or whatever. This is my own personal research. Because all of us are doing research for ICAR, but we're all, because of what we're into, we're always into something. And occasionally, we'll run across something that will make us think about something else or change our mind or an idea. Sometimes everybody in an organization embraces it. Most of the time, not so much. Most of the time, it's a hard-fought battle to get your idea across, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. The basic stuff, and what we consider basic stuff in abductions, is agreed upon. After that, oh no, it's anybody's best guess. And you have heard me talk about agendas, but I've talked with November about agendas. I've talked to Jason about agendas. And the thing about it is, the more research we do, the more agendas we find. So what happens here is they can't all be true. So over the years, I've come to understand, I come to understand that most contactees rarely have the truth of anything in their head. I mean, they have the gist of their contact. But when it comes to agendas, there's always these big, elaborate agendas, and they're all sprawled out. And the contactee is usually in the middle of the agenda. Not so much. That's not how ET does business. But it is teaching us a lot of stuff. As I can say, like, we learn something all the time from it. We're looking for the stuff that's the same. We're looking for the stuff that's different. We're looking for the stuff that might be slightly different but the same in the cases. There's just a lot here, and there's a lot to go through. And November filters through a lot, and Jason and I do, and everybody else does. And to answer Mark's question from earlier, between the three of us, we've probably interviewed more than 2,000 contactees between the three of us. The organization's way over. That's up in the 17,000, 18,000 range. But we've also got 40 directors working full-time. We've got a lot of people that are helping out besides that. We've got a lot of people from other groups, like the Madrid group that came in. They brought in about 3,500 cases with them, already researched, already packaged, and ready to go, which hasn't even been added to the database yet. Matter of fact, probably what will happen to that is when I get the snail mail package, I'll probably send a copy to November and to Jason. Or I'll get somebody in the organization and have them post it all to one of the online so that all the directors can get to it. It depends what's in it, to who's going to get it. But, we've got that. I've got to talk with our Brazilian director. I know he's got a big group down there, and I know they want to participate in all these studies and get involved. So, and all of that. You know what? Hold on a second, y'all. All right, let's clean up that audio just a tad there.
All right, I guess everybody's back.
Yeah, November just joined us back. We were just getting a little feedback there. I don't know if y'all...
pertaining to the last question, actually, not everybody in ICAR gets along. I mean, there are a number of us who, had a lot of similar experiences, and there are members of the group that have had experiences that I honestly have no frame of reference, by which to come to any kind of conclusions. And anytime you've got a group of researchers as big and diverse as ICAR, hell no, nobody's ever going to agree on everything. Me personally, if a contactee if somebody comes to me, claiming to be a contactee, and they start telling me about experiences that I have no frame of reference to, for example, some, type of like, esoteric, spiritual type of experience where somebody started channeling Ashtar Commander, got in touch with like the Galactic Federation of Light or something like that. Honestly, and I don't mean this with as much disrespect as it may appear, I saw that before, and I really don't want to hear it. I mean, I specialize with, basically a group of contactees that, have had experiences that are similar to mine. I haven't had anything like that. But I will say this. There are other researchers in the group that I will have no problem referring you to. And that's basically how it works here. I mean, no, not everybody. God, if you like throw up any major hot button topic, even Roswell, for example, you're going to get 1,000 different responses. I mean, there are ICAR members that think that it's the most important case ever in the world. There are some that look at it as an important historical case. Me, I don't think it's really relevant as, when, I've got literally hundreds of contactees that are having things happen to them today and now talking to me about their experiences. I mean, it's like that. Nobody agrees on everything here at ICAR.
Yeah.
So I agree. And for me, it's more about focus. What do I want to focus on? Well, I can focus on the little tiddlywink things that we don't agree on. That isn't going to get me anywhere. If I take the things that, we have a tendency to agree. If you think about this, we don't have empirical proof, what science would consider empirical.
What do you mean? I got that gray in my house. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, well, maybe Joe does. Maybe we can already agree to disagree. But usually the approach I like to take is, okay, so this is the information. This is what I've gathered. This is this is what I have found. You know what? Take a look at it. Do your own research. Let people come to their own conclusions. I can get hung up with things that I don't agree with. All the bickering and the infighting and the politics, and it isn't going to get me anywhere. So I just tend to focus on the stuff that I believe is, important. And if somebody wants to disagree with me, I don't care. That everybody's different. They're welcome to their opinion.
And the field of when you're talking about extraterrestrial contact, I mean, that's such a broad term that has all different types of implications and different types of contact that, I don't believe there's anybody out there that can claim to be an expert and understand all of it. I mean, I'll be the first to admit, I look at this field with pretty much a myopic field of vision that in a lot of cases is based on my own personal experiences and others that have had similar experiences. I can kind of tune everything else out. I mean, you can't, it's just such a vast topic that you can't be on top of all of it. Like November said, I mean, there's sometimes that you just have to focus in and specialize on particular aspects of it and work on understanding the mosaic piece before you back up and think you can understand the whole big picture.
Yeah. Loon, are you married yet? If you are, congrats. I didn't see where you posted. I thought y'all was still having showers, so I want to say congrats. Man, I'm just telling you, nothing like it. Y'all two be quiet.
Hello, Luther. How's it feel getting old, man? I mean, Luther and I he's the only person I've ever met that shares the same birthday as me, so, I feel...
Well, that explains why he's crazy. I didn't know it. See, now I know. See, anytime that someone shares a birthday, one has to be sane, one has to be crazy.
Which one's which?
Yes, that's a question. Which one is which? Oh, guys, I'm sorry. I'll behave myself. We got all kind of questions been coming in from all over way here. Let's take this caller right quick. Let's bring the caller into the queue with us. Caller, welcome to UFO Undercover.
Yeah, this is Sky on here.
Hey, Sky, what's up, babe? How you been?
Yeah, Joe, I've heard you talk before about one time you saw a couple grays down on the beach down there in Louisiana or somewhere. Where do you think these grays are hanging out at? Because from the evidence that I've been researching lately, there's no doubt that they're real, but I'm just wondering where.
Well,
where do you think these little guys hang out at?
In that particular case, it was Eglin Air Force Base. That's where they were coming from. We were actually right next to Eglin. They've seen grays on the beach down there. We've personally, in groups, I've had groups of least 5 different groups with me now that have seen physically grays on the beach, and we've probably got another 30 or 40 reports. It seems to be, it seems to be, and I got to say this seems to be because I'm not sure what the hell this is. It does seem to be some type of gray joint MILAB abduction experience going on here. It has something to do with the hybrid program and something to do with the breeding program. I'm not sure what, because a lot of the women who go talk about this room where there's this big silver dish-shaped thing, and there's a bunch of chairs, and they all have stirrups and all on them, for gynecological exams. So they talk about that a lot, and there's about a lot of other stuff that seems to go on there. But in those cases, it does seem to be that the grays are allowing the humans to observe, because the doctor they talk about, which is the redheaded doctor, gets talked about a lot. He's seen by a lot of different contactees in different groups, grays, reptilians, humans. He's seen a lot. Everybody agrees he's some type of hybrid. We're not even sure if it's just one. It may be more than one. Because sometimes everybody else says he's real tall, real big, real broad-shouldered and all, but sometimes they say he has like auburn hair, sometimes he has like orange hair, sometimes it's curly, sometimes it's wavy, sometimes it's straight. But it's always short, he's always tall, it's always above his ears. So there are some consistencies to it, what it is. But anyway, that in those cases seems to be Eglin Air Force Base. The grays have also been seen out in Honey Island along with the reptilians, which is near a NASA facility. So in some cases, I don't actually think they're working with the government. I really think they allow the government to observe sometimes in very select cases. And Gulf Breeze seems to be what we call, well, it's what it is a lot of people go there. It's a great vacation spot. If you ever get a chance to go to vacation, it's a beautiful spot. It's fabulous down there. White sugar sand beaches, beautiful sunsets, beautiful starlit skies in the evening, no light pollution. It's a great place to be. But what we found out over the years, since something that happened to Linda and I about 30 years ago, 27 years ago, happened, we've learned over the years that a lot of people, I should say a lot of contactees, a lot of abductees are drawn to Navarre, Gulf Breeze, Fort Walton, Sand Beach, Panama City, which happen to be nestled between Eglin Air Force Base and Tyler Field, which are 2 of the biggest military facilities in the United States. It's just dinner.
Well, I'm getting low on time here, but I just wanted to tell you.
It's okay.
The UFO that I seen was, there was an outline of 4 orange pulsating lights, and when at the other time there was a cloud of metallic disc that was exact shape of those. It was sort of like when it was powered up, it was like sort of in our dimension and another dimension at the same time. But it had something protruding out of the bottom of it, some kind of I don't know what you'd call it, something coming out of the bottom of it. Anyways, I'd have to show you this video sometime. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, send it over. You know what? Post it to my primary Facebook page, because Sci-Fi Channel views the page. So far, they've picked up 3 of the videos. One that I posted, 2 that other people have posted. On that.
Well, I'll talk to you off the air sometime about it.
That's cool. Because
they're probably listening right now. I know they do, so, but they can't do anything about it.
Well, they listen to this show all the time. This is like one-stop shopping for them. Matter of fact, it was funny because I seen a comment a little while ago. It came from Bruce Willis, and it says, "Hi, MK Ultra here. I just wanted to let you know I was listening. When are you going to get to the good stuff?" I always get shit like that, emails like that. We know that we use Skype. We don't have the red light box on anymore, so we don't know when they're listening, when they're not. But when the old days, up until a year ago, we used the broadcast host box, which has a little red light on it that lets you know if there's an open line. The 10 years that I've been doing radio, that light has never been off on any of our shows, for that matter. They always listen. And I've been told by many people that we're like one-stop shopping.
I got a question for you, Joe. Have you ever analyzed mini DV tape, mini DV footage?
I have,
Before digital, little mini DV cassettes.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Actually, I have. Hell, I've actually analyzed 8mm.
Is it very easy to dupe those, to create a dupe of those?
if you get the equipment, it's not. And actually, if you happen to live in like near a military town, you can probably find what you need in your local pawn shop fairly cheap.
I might do that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to obtain the
or depending on what type of disc it is, some of the computer readers will read them. It just depends what kind it is. Some of them you can't. Some of them are actually going to be popped in and put in a tray, and they'll show you what they got. Or just, you don't have to bring that one, but bring one with you so they know what you're talking about, and they'll show you exactly what you need. And a lot of them have players into them. So.
Well, we're almost out of time, but I'll send this once I get it. I might recognize it. Anyways, the other thing I want to ask you was this thing that Bassett is doing. Did he mention what congressmen are actually going to be attending that?
No, he didn't. And I pushed him on that, and I pushed him on the guesses, and he told me that he would let me know and everyone else know as they were signed on the contract. So he said once they're on the contract, he'll mention who they are.
Oh.
But I do know from what I talked to him about last night, he's talked to a lot of these people already. He's got tentative agreements with them. But he doesn't want to make it public until he has them on the contract, which I don't blame him for that. That way he can dictate what they can say to the press and what they can't say, and that way it doesn't.
Well, it's actually a bigger deal. It's a pretty big deal. I just hope
it's a bigger deal than what Greer did in 2001. I just, whether he can pull it off or not, we're going to have to wait and see. If anybody can pull it off, it's Steven.
All right, guys.
Stands why Greer ain't there trying to help him. He's got to have a little money in the bank. Give it to the man.
Anyway, Greer kind of jumped the shark a long time ago, in my opinion. Anyway.
Well, yeah, he did. When he got into that, let me charge you $2,500 to have a spiritual ET encounter.
All right, so what? I got a question for you, Joe. So what does Bassett think about the Civil War going on in Disclosure Land pretty much right now? I mean, come on. On one hand, you got Bassett. On the other hand, you got Sala, and a little bit over to the right, you got Weber rubbing elbows with Basiago, all saying they saw Obama on Mars and shit. I mean, come on, man. How does Bassett feel about being?
Three of you offline sometime off the radio. If I get a copy of this footage from this witness, and I'll send you each a copy, and you can look at it yourself, and you'll be just amazing as I am. I'll leave that for now, and I'll try and contact you on Facebook.
Well, Star, feel free anytime to call in, and we do still take calls out of the auditorium. It's just when they're in an auditorium, it's not two-way activity. Unless it's a purple room or whatever the hell they call it, they only give you one-way activity. That's why we like people to call in. That way we get to talk to them. If you're on Pal Talk, we get to hear the question, and then you don't get to hear us until you're through with the question.
So, Jason, you know what footage I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's some of the most interesting visual footage of UFOs that I've pretty much seen the entire time I've been. I must have looked at literally thousands of UFO videos.
Yeah.
And that's one that makes me stop and think, what the hell is that thing? It kind of even genuinely creeps me out just a little bit, I mean, especially when you contrast it with a lot of the other UFO videos. And I'll go ahead and say this. This is a pretty interesting. This is one observation that I made. the last several UFO videos that have got out there in the paranormal media and gone viral, and everybody's like, oh my God, what's this? I mean, I'd have to say that each and every one of those is a complete and utter crock of crap.
The good video is not on the mainstream media. On the mainstream, it's all sensationalized. Anyways, the video is not going to prove anything, but...
Call in anytime, baby, anytime. And, I always like when people call in. It's always nice. And Sky, it's always nice to have you call in. November, wake up.
November's right here. I was listening to the UFO conversation. I have some information about UFOs. I've always wondered if I should ever disclose it.
Oh, Lord. You got to tell us.
Oh, my God.
You got to tell us now.
I know. I'm just thinking, maybe I should. Okay, I'm going to. Because I never said, I was never told I couldn't. I was just told to be careful. Yeah, a lot of times there are military X-craft. And so the UFOs that we see will be deniable even by the military. But I do know somebody, I actually know the person in person, that got to go to, what was it? Was it Lockheed Martin or the other one? Boeing. It was Boeing. And they do test in our area sometimes, these X-craft. And there was a sighting here not many years ago, and I remember reading about the sighting. Well, maybe 10 years later, this guy's telling me about the X-craft that was being tested and when it was being done and where it was being done, which actually happened to be where the sighting had taken place in the same time frame. So, some of that stuff that we see is, our military, and it will always be for them plausible deniability. They're not going to come out and say, yeah, there's a UFO, we had something on our radar. They're going to deny it, of course, because they're testing something. They don't want anybody to know. So this one particular one was a very one-seater, very unusual shape, and it, like I said, it had a witness, but it was actually
I'll go out on a limb and say that, yeah, I'm pretty sure that thing's ours, because if you take a look at where that thing's seen, it's either seen, directly on government property or traveling directly between two large government installations. These things, pretty much have, well, if you look at the sightings reports of them, you can kind of, if you look at the sightings reports of them, you can kind of, yeah, somebody has them.
There's a lot of projects out there flying around. Especially on the West Coast, it's famous for all kind of black ops projects. From the UFOs flying out of Mount Rainier to stuff flying over Mount Shasta, all down the California coast, Oregon, Washington, and now. Something that's odd. We've made some friends over the years, here and there and there and here. And every now and then, we're bringing directors in that have family and higher positions and stuff like that. And it's interesting, the stuff you learn. And it's interesting to find out how many people in America that are contactees, that have family members working in key positions in places like Key, Boeing, Milan, JPL, different parts of the government. And I didn't run across this. I didn't put this together until about a year ago. We had two new directors come into the organization who both had basically the same kind of ties. And I was surprised. So I started going back through our directorship and through members and contactees and friends. And I noticed that a very large percentage of them, not like a huge, it's not over 5% or anything like that, but an unusually large percent of them have family members with ties. Brenda's sister works for Boeing. She's actually a scientist on one of the Boeing flight labs. She's way up, senior scientist at that. Jennifer Jansen's daughter works. He's just a contactee, just a guy I've been knowing for a couple of years. His daughter works at NASA. She's in charge of programming their computers on 3 different facilities. It's just weird how this happens. There's a few others that I could mention, and I'm not going to because I don't want to give those sources away. But frankly, it is amazing to me. It's a little weird. For me, it's even stranger because I think that if you're a contactee, that your family's being taken. So if you have brothers and sisters and they're working in key positions in the government or in different agencies, they're probably contactees too, unless for some reason ET stopped contacting them. But frankly, if you're a contactee and you're working in a high security area like that, I think they're taking you more often, just to make sure you're not tying the two together or something. It is weird though, and it is something I've been wanting to talk to the directorship about a while now, because it's a strange little phenomena in itself, and whether it means anything or not, it may help us long term to get answers. But I'll tell you what it's helped me with so far. It's helped me with a couple of cases. The most noticeable one was Stevensville. Jason and Joe and I and Linda were in Stevensville for the All Women's Symposium. And while we were there, we got to hear the witnesses in their own voices at the place it happened talk about what went on. Well, Joe, who was Assistant State Director at the time, was videotaping the whole thing for me. So he made me an audio copy. I sent that copy. He made an audio and video copy. I sent that to a friend of ours who works in one of these flight organizations. She does security for them. And I asked her, what did she think? She's actually a scientist, but she does security for them. And I asked her what she thought. And she immediately wrote back to me and responded, "Oh, well, no, Joe, that's and her quote was an Aurora-type craft." She didn't call it an Aurora. She says an Aurora-type craft. She said she's heard about it before. She even went as far as tracking the flight program for me. And it's not even the first time it's flew in that area. It's flew there a couple of times. So the combination of what she told me and what I had heard for the first time, that they were chase planes, not military interceptors. I don't know if y'all know the difference. A military interceptor is an F-16, F-18. These days it would be an F-18 Hornet, an F-22, maybe an F-16, but they're getting kind of old now. We don't usually use them for that. So if it was something like that, that's an interceptor. Chase planes, you ever see when the shuttle used to land, those planes on the side of it? Planes like that are considered chase planes. They're usually not armed either, by the way.
Yeah, the little NASA trainer, I forget. Yeah. It's a T-30 something. Hell, I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, they're fast and they're light and they're maneuverable. And this is what these guys were describing. So if this was an actual extraterrestrial intervention, an invasion or an extraterrestrial craft, we would have sent interceptors, not chase planes.
Well, here's one of the important things about, listening to an actual Stevensville witness at the location he saw it from, pointing out and describing what he saw, is I gained a better understanding from listening to this man for 5 minutes describe what happened than I have watching different documentaries, reading thousands of pages of websites worth of information about the Stevensville sighting. I didn't understand what this thing was floating over the sky until, I actually listened to somebody who had seen it with the Mark I eyeball. And, that's one of the important things about this field. It's one thing to go upon, a lot of the research that's out there, but unless you actually get out there and talk to the witnesses, you're not going to get the clearest picture of it that you could.
And you're not. And I got to say, I'm the same way with you.
It's one thing to hear about it, in some of the, watching a little National Geographic or whoever did it specials on it. It's another thing when you've got somebody pointing out where it was in the sky, how it drifted across, what its propulsion method was. Seeing rivets on it and, reporting that, he saw the engines on the back of it, once you hear it from, somebody who had seen it, that completely and totally I mean, it's that's the only I finally, in all the other research and crap done about it, did not give me that impression.
You know, there's another way to look at this, too, though, as we're talking about UFOs being possibly military craft, which a lot of them more than likely are. You also have to keep in mind that these UFO sightings, these things that zip around in the sky with lightning speed or hover or whatever, these sightings have been going on for hundreds of years. So, obviously, not all of it's probably going to be U.S., Black Ops, X-craft, military, because they've been around for a long time. So, but the point is that we've, progressed in our own technology to where now we have some cute little zippy things that can fly around and hover and all that kind of stuff. So then it really becomes complicated. Well, what's an actual UFO sighting and what was actually a sighting from an X-craft or a Black Ops? And not all X-craft are even military. Some X-craft are commercial. So, I mean, keeping that in mind, it becomes very difficult to be able to discern what it is that you're looking at, more so in this age and probably back in the 1930s.
Well, no, I agree. I mean, I really do. I mean, I'm sure a lot of stuff back in the old days was misidentified just like stuff today is. And I'm not sure, when they coined the word flying saucer or the term flying saucer, that it wasn't from one of our craft.
If we're bringing up like the historical sightings in the 30s and stuff, I mean, I just wonder about the sheer amount of information that's been lost. Because, I mean, what are you going to do if you see a sighting, back in, say, the 1890s or, like, even up to the 1930s? Tell some of the people around you that you saw. I mean, it's not going to get published. I mean, the most that, would come about it is, you tell a reporter and it ends up in, like, some little corner paragraph of a local newspaper. I mean, I just wonder about the sheer amount of sightings that, basically, been passed on, like some of Grandma's old witches' tales or something like that are about to be lost because they were never recorded. I mean, that's another one of the things that we have to look at as researchers in this field is a lot of that information, if it doesn't get recorded or listened to now, it's going to be gone forever. So, that's something I'd like to see a lot of people in the field, come together and, sort of work towards the same goal as getting a lot of these historical sightings down before they're gone.
Well, I think all of it needs to be put down. And at least one thing for sure, when we're all dead and gone, we will have all contributed a lot of data to a lot of things in the field, not including probably more than 10 or 20,000. I think we're personally, the station is this station without our affiliates is at around 10,000 hours of broadcasting. If you add our affiliates and all in, we're probably around 25,000 hours. So that's a lot of information right there alone. I mean, that's it would take forever just to sift through all that and listen to it, even though they're all titled whatever. It would still, and that's just that. It's nothing, not even anything else that any of us are touching on or that we're doing. I mean, I got to say this, the next 2 generations following behind the 3 of us will have a much bigger advantage than we had when we got started. But in all fairness,
well, either that or the next couple of generations will be living their lives out in their apocalypse bunkers.
That's true too. That's right. What do we got now? Well, we've got 27 days to Christmas and 24 days to the end of the world.
Oh man, all those things that I never got to do.
Well, now let's talk about this because I know I've seen a lot of questions coming earlier about 12/21/12, and they just basically wanted to know all 3 of our opinions on it. But November, what do you think? Peace, love, light, death, nothing?
I
know this is one of the things that...
Well, you know what, Joe? I'm really not sure what to think. I mean, I honestly don't believe anything apocalyptic is going to happen. I've already had my year of the apocalypse. I've had more miserable things happen to me this year than all combined in my entire life. So 2012 really, or the December 21st date really, I don't think could be any worse. I probably shouldn't say that. Do I have some wood to knock on? Anyways, I don't know. Some people talk about man being ushered into a new age, an age of understanding, age of awareness, all that type of thing. As far as I'm concerned, that's been happening for, about 12 years or maybe even a little bit longer because I don't think everybody has come on board with this awareness. Again, terms we don't really have for what's happening to people. So that's been happening for a long time. I mean, I'm looking at just getting through next Tuesday. I could care less about December 31st or 21st or Christmas or whatever. You know, I'm just doing a day at a time. I just really, I mean, I can be wrong. I'm not some prophet or something. I just don't see anything profound happening.
Well, no, I'm with you on that, but I'm going to let Jason answer, and then we'll get into this a little more.
Well, all right, December 21st, 2012. Well, I had to get a T-shirt printed up for that one, too, because I survived the Millennium. I survived Planet X, like, 6 times or however many times it was supposed to kill us. You know, I've survived, like, the planetary alignment, that crazy old white dude. I survived his apocalypse date. I mean, I've survived a lot of this crap. And I think December is one of those things. I will kind of make a prediction, though, that, and you saw this, like, with some of the Planet X stuff, too. When was it supposed to kill us first? Like, May 2nd, 2002, or that was one of the dates, I believe. But when nothing happens on December 21st, 2012, the believers in that stuff, I guarantee you, they'll come out and be like, oh, no, it's going to be December 4th, it's going to be Christmas Eve, because if you factor in the Gregorian calendar differences, it's 3 days off, and the calculations were just slightly wrong. And then when that happens and nothing happens, they'll be like, oh, well, the Mayan calendar correlates with this calendar a little ways, and the calculations were a week off, and it'll be like a month, and, you know, destruction will be imminent no matter what, so I don't really think anything will come of all of that. But I do have to say this. I wouldn't be surprised if something did happen, not because of 2012. I mean, for all we know, something could happen like the 1859 solar flare, you know, something that we might not have a day or two of warning about, and then bam, the entire world power grid goes down. You can't get gasoline into the trucks can't get food to your grocery stores, and the next thing you know, you're like skinning squirrels or like killing your neighbor and taking their stash of prepper food or something like that.
Hey, my chihuahuas are off limits. My damn chihuahuas, so all you people out there, my chihuahuas are off limit. Besides, they're so damn skinny, you wouldn't even be worth your damn time, let's be honest about it.
But then again, I'm kind of in the woods, and, you know, I've got like 2 water wells.
Yeah, look, guys.
I'll be back deer every day if I have to, so I'm not.
Hold on, let me clear this audio up right quick, y'all. Hold on a second.
Yeah, well, I'm in the woods too, Jason, but guess what? Do you think the people from the city are going to go?
Yeah, that's right. They're going to the woods. But look, Jason lives so far in the woods, the apocalypse will happen for 2 years before he knows it even happened. The only reason he'll know is because he'll turn his damn internet off and his cell phone.
Well, my cell phone doesn't work anyway, so I'll just...
So you see, he won't know anyway. And November ain't much better. She lives pretty far out in the boonies, too. Unfortunately for me, I live in the damn city. But we reserved a camp for Christmas, a cabin in the woods. So if something does happen, I know where I'm going.
Oh, if anything happens, I mean, everybody that I know is welcome to come down to the Apocalypse Farm. It's roughly between Dallas and Houston. You know.
I have an invitation to the White Mountain Native American Reservation. I would be allowed in.
Hey, that'd be a good place to go, though. Hey.
Oh, yeah, it would actually.
Yeah, my a friend made that possible 12 years ago. Honestly, I think if anything ever really does happen that's so earth-shattering, it's going to take us all by storm. None of us will have been prepared.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
No, and I got to say, y'all, if the apocalypse goes down, all you people that are, like, getting on these apocalypse prepper shows and showing off your location and where all your food stash is and what your defenses are, you know, when I'm starving to death, I'm going to remember some of that stuff. So just think about that.
Well, guys, I got to be honest. I really don't think anything's going to... we're going to actually be broadcasting on 12/21/12, so if something does happen, y'all will all know, I'm sure, because we will be broadcasting until such a time that we can. So we will be live. I actually did turn down several invitations to parties. There's a group of friends of ours, ICAR affiliates, actually, that are having a Burning Man-style party in the desert in Nevada on the 21st. Last I heard, they had over 100,000 people attending. Should be outstanding party. I wish I was going, but I'm not. I decided I wanted to broadcast instead. I turned down a couple of local events. There's a lot of 12/21/12 parties going on, but it's so close to Christmas that I figured I'll stay out of trouble and stay home and be a good guy. It's just too close to Christmas to be going out like that. But for the people that are out and about, look, we're going to be broadcasting live, so call in. Let me know how your Apocalypse Day is going on. Maybe we'll do some kind of Apocalypse Day special or something. Get all the hosts together, and we'll do play-by-play, like when they track Santa Claus in, fly Santa Claus in. And by the way, I had someone write into me, a kid write into me and ask me if we would track Santa in his UFO coming in for Christmas.
Oh, my goodness.
I said, well, I would do it, but we don't usually broadcast on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, so probably not. But, hey, I know Cox Cable and AT&T and Dish Network all have Santa trackers.
Oh, God, Joe, I just saw it in my head. One of these days I'm going to turn on the History Channel or H2 or where they ever got it now, and Ancient Aliens is going to be on, actually, an ancient alien.
Give them time. They're running out of topic matter on that poor show, man.
I mean, hey, he's already got teleporter technology. I mean...
That's true. Apparently he's got mountain ways ago. He can shrink everything down and teleport it.
He's got his own UFO. I mean, come on, a bunch of reindeer with a sleigh. If I wanted to turn on the hologram projector and mess with people's heads, yeah.
Well, Ancient Aliens is a lot of fun to watch, and I agree with them some weeks. Some weeks I'm like, y'all have lost y'all's effing minds. Frankly, I think we're better versed on Ancient Aliens than they are, but hey, that we take it from the contactee's point of view, not from their point of view. Well, that's not true. I'd say in November's case, and I and a few other directors, we take it from the contactee and the ancient history's point of view. Because for me, the reason I think about is because of the Sumerian text and the Egyptian text and the Dogon and the Mesoamerican text all points to that the planet had been intervened and maybe even if not created a race, adjusted a race. So it's not hard for me. I mean, and most of it's pretty well written. That's why I don't understand why on a lot of these shows they stray so far from what's already pre-written in history. Their problems is they don't talk to contactees. They do some research and they get some ideas from one guy who's wrote one book based on nothing, and then they do a show about it, which is not good business. But I like them. I'm not criticizing.
November, if somebody came to iCar and gave us a TV show, and I was like, okay, November, what are we going to make season 1 about? What topic would you pick?
Oh, Ancient Aliens, of course. Well,
it'd be a good one.
It depends because...
Oh, I got more hair than Oculus does anyway, so that's cool.
If you were going to actually... Where did we all start? We all started... not Ancient Aliens per se, as in ancient history.
Yep.
All the unusual things about ancient history. You start back there and then you move your way forward. So if you were going to do an iCar program, I would think that's where you would want to start, like we did in the old days back in 1998, and then move your way forward. And that's what we've been telling people for years. That is the best way to do it.
Hey, let me tell y'all something. When I started with iCar, I had a full head of hair, okay? big. Couldn't.
I did too!
Right, no, I wasn't expecting that. Threw me for a loop. But anyway, now we don't. You see what happens when you get messing with aliens? Well, I can see Jason in 10 years. He'll look like us. I'll never be that good looking, but still.
I don't believe the hype. I met Joe a long time ago, and he's had that bald spot for a while.
No, it ain't a bald spot anymore. Now it's just a big racing slick. But still, hey, it's a racing slick with a ponytail now. Kind of strange. Going for that what is that Japanese look?
Now you're going for that old man desperately trying to see you.
Oh, my phone's ringing. I have to answer it. We're already...
Your phone. You're good. We're actually over on time anyway, so go do what you got to do. We just kind of ranting and raving at this point. Oh, she done left us. Someone answered anyway. See, I just get kicked to the curb. Y'all see that? I seen Christopher George on. Let's torture him. Let's torture him. Yeah, also baby Japanese asshole. Yes.
You know, Joe, one of the things I'd like to see, one of the topics I'd like to see on a future show is, I think we need to get a medium on here and ask he or she, what do they think about, the whole idea of channeling extraterrestrials? Is that even kosher or not?
I just got the medium
just writing on that a little bit. I mean, there's this topic, the walk-ins, that a lot of the people that are, into the more esoteric side of the extraterrestrial equation like to come about, and they describe a walk-in as basically some extraterrestrial or enlightened type of soul will basically come in and take over a body where the personality or the soul inside of it just doesn't want to be here anymore for whatever reason. And I'm like, okay, you guys are saying something like that's a good thing, but to me that sounds an awful hell of a lot like demonic possession. I guess that just depends on, what your definition of a demon is.
Well, Jason, let's ask the expert. What do you think, Chris?
I actually didn't hear what you were saying.
Jason was... tell him again, Jason, so I can hear you.
All right, Chris, you got some of these researchers out there on the more esoteric side of the ET equation that, they're more or less into the whole channeling thing, and they got this topic of walk-in. And basically what a walk-in is, it sounds a hell of a lot like possession to me, that basically decides that they don't want to be here anymore, and they either like move to the side or, just let some other enlightened alien entity come in. And I don't know about that, Chris. Nothing about that sounds very kosher to me. What's your opinion on something like that?
Well, basically, that's kind of almost like what I do, because when I channel, I pretty much leave my body and allow spirit to take me over. So I kind of have to agree with that, because that's pretty much what I do.
Interesting. Well, Chris, what about a situation where, you more or less, I mean, this is what a lot of these people are doing, and this is where it really gets to me, where they're more or less vacating permanently and giving up their soul, their body to these entities, and I don't know about that, man. That's
not kosher. I mean, then you're giving your body up. It becomes possession, and that's when things get kind of hairy. Now that's when you have to bring exorcism into it. So, I mean, that's when things get a little bit screwy. So I can't understand why anybody would want to do that, to tell you the truth.
The damn evil people in the world is what that is.
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah, they are. No, I know. I've met a few over the years. Actually, it's funny because I was talking with someone about this the other day, and they said, do you know what true evil is? And I looked over and I said, well, I hope I never actually get a chance to find out. And living in New Orleans, I've seen some hairy, scary, back-assward shit. But was it true evil or not? I don't know. I don't have nothing to reference to it, and I don't want to find out. So I'm not going to go looking for a reference. Anybody who goes chasing demons or ghosts or anything like that, I think y'all are much crazier than ufologists are. The worst that we can do is get probed by an alien. Y'all could be stuck in some hell somewhere. So somebody the other day I was talking with a friend of mine, Bruce, about this, who does actually he's just a ghost hunter, and we were talking about it, and I said, why do you want to talk to anything dead, man? I said, what are you looking for? And he's like, well, I just want to know what's on the other side. I'm like, why? I said, you don't like surprises or something? I said, you're going to keep messing around with them? Because, for me, he tells me all the time that I'm insane. He tells me all the time, you're the bravest guy I ever met. You go chasing aliens. I'm like, my ass, you're chasing demons. I'm chasing aliens. I'm like, oh, no. I said, and I can see where people can get the two misconstrued. A lot of the torture type stuff, I guess, could be considered demonic in a lot of ways. And some of the stuff they say, I guess, could even be considered, like when they took the girl's eyes out and turned around and looked at her and said, now pray to you, Jesus. And, that could be taken kind of demonic if you really look at it that way. But, in those cases, we know it's not. We know it's extraterrestrial. But, it's one of them things. We just seen you pop on Skype. It's dangerous to get on Skype when we're live.
Well, listen, I just downloaded it. It's the first time I've ever had it. I had no idea that you were actually going to call me on it. So, it kind of surprised me.
Hey, well, now you know it works. That's a good thing. Actually, Jason, we're like 15 minutes over. So we'll be rolling out of here in a few minutes. But when we close out, we'll roll out of here. And
I'm sitting here rolling my eyes thinking somebody needs to get my good friend Ian a nice hot pot of black coffee.
Oh, yes. He's been on the tipsy the last few weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, I know y'all outside all listening to us going, who the hell is Ian? Ian is a friend of ours from Europe that, now you got to remember for him it's, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the morning there right now. And he's been sipping too much coffee, but we'll be like, well, some Irish coffee. How's that? He's been having too much Irish coffee tonight.
Hey, all I gotta say is Ian can get away with whatever he damn well pleases.
Well, he gets bounced. I mean, I see him get bounced from room to room. I mean, from host to host. But hey, that's each host's prerogative to bounce in when it's their room, kick their asses out. I just personally ignore him.
Well, the rare second set we did, we bounced him.
Yeah, he can't help himself. He gets bounced from time to time. And my buddy Sasha's now done shacked up and married, and Lord, now they're going to be double probings going on. I can't wait to talk to her. I haven't talked to her in a couple of weeks. I know she just did a TV gig the other day. To be frank with y'all, we're looking at a couple of TV gigs. I don't know. A couple of them I missed this year because I've been busy with work. And I love that. That's why I changed the number off the iCar site, because they'll call the iCar site and it goes to the iCar phone line.
And iCar's got some good-looking people in it, too. I think we look great on TV.
Oh, yeah. But sometimes Joe gets busy and forgets to check the line, but like once every week or so. Last time they sent me one from California from Discovery Channel about doing setting up a team to do a show. And they called on a Monday and they needed the answer by Tuesday. I checked the voicemail the following Monday. But anyway, I called them and talked to them, and this coming season we're going to talk about it again. And there's a couple other people besides that we're talking about doing stuff with. Really what they're looking for is they're looking for a team. They want us to set up an investigation team both on UFOs and abductions. And start doing some just hardcore stuff. I actually thought about at one of the conferences getting a couple of directors together and getting some good video equipment together and doing, what do you call them? When you, not a promo.
I don't know, Joe. I'd be a little bit wary about, Alien Hunters type TV show, because I don't know if that would work out well with iCar, man. Get a bunch of us, put us out in the woods with little night vision and cameras. I mean, a lot of us simply don't get scared. I mean, they're going to be like, oh my God, what is that?
Well, that's what's his name I used to like on Sci-Fi. What was the big, tall, goofy bastard? Oh, man, what is his name? The one who used to go chasing monsters and stuff. He used to crack me up, man.
Well, there's a lot of those big, tall, goofy bastards. I mean, what do they want us to do? Get out there and try to look for aliens, be on Ghost Hunters, be like, aliens, I challenge you, reveal yourself, or some shit.
Yes, come to me. We will sacrifice November to the great volcano. Come to us.
Spit me back out.
See, that's why they want to let you on a reservation, because when the end time comes, they got to have a white woman to sacrifice, because they ain't sacrificing none of Indian women. So.
Oh, why? Aren't we the funny one?
Hey, I know how that stuff works now.
You get iCar out there hunting for aliens, you might come back with a body.
I know, that's the bad part. Actually, we talked about that. I was talking with the British lady about this a couple of weeks ago, and she said I was listening to one of the archives about when y'all were walking down the beach. I said, oh, you'd have loved that. I said, we never saw any grays that night. I said, but we saw something between the women in the front and the men in the back. And you could see footprints emerging in the sand, but there was nothing there. I said, now, I don't know if the camera would have picked that up or not, but you'd have definitely heard it in all of our voices, because we were all kind of like, what the hell? But still, guys, now that could have been anything that night. It just, I don't know, the footprint was maybe I wouldn't even say that, maybe 4 inches, 5 inches, maybe 2 inches wide. It looked like a kid's footprint, really. But they weren't there, then they were there. You could see them, the footprints actually being made in the fog. You just couldn't see anything else. And then every now and then you'd hear the ladies in front of us yelling at us back because they thought we were right behind them, and we were a good, 25, 30 yards behind them. So just walking through the fog on somewhere in Gulf Breeze. I think it was Navarre Beach, actually, right there by A1 Air Force Base. And then I was out there with Crazy Canuck when he said he saw the one coming down out of the gazebo. That was still freaky. A lot of weird stuff happens right there. A lot of weird stuff. I'm telling you, people, if you want to go see a gray, if you just want to see a UFO, book yourself a hotel room at Navarre Beach. Spend about 7 or 8 days there. I guarantee you're going to see something. If you have any draw to this field at all, if you go there, you're going to see something.
Here's what you do. You don't book a hotel room. What you do is you come down on like an off-season Wednesday, just drive up and down the coast, get you a little hotel room somewhere, as a little base of operations, and just go out and see what you find. I mean, you can do it on a pretty thin budget, too.
This time of year, you can do it cheap. You can stay in Panama City as cheap as $30 a night right now in Panama. Pensacola, it's going to be more closer to about $60, but any of those places, you can stay on Biloxi Coast at the casinos, as a matter of fact, this time of year from between $30 and $60 a night, except on Friday and Saturday.
I mean, especially in winter, you get to come down, it's still going to be 70, 80 degrees outside, and, like Joe said, you can, get you a room on the beach for like $20, $30.
Well, we spent 3 days. We were just in Panama City. I'm going to post these pictures to Facebook. We were in Panama City for 3 days. I booked the room on Priceline. I usually use Orbis, but I booked it on Priceline. It was $36 a night. It was in a very nice hotel. You walked out of my room onto the beach. To the left of my room was the hot tub and the big pool with the waterfall and the bar and all the lights. It was really pretty. On the right side was the heated pool. Right behind us was the beach. Right in front of us was the restaurant. It was a great place to stay, and it cost me for 3 nights what it normally cost me to stay at a casino for a half a night. I was amazed. And just recently we stayed at the Hard Rock for less than $50 a night. So this time of year, you can come down here. You can enjoy it. Gas is cheap down here right now. It's right at $3 a gallon compared, to the rest of the country. The hotels are cheap. The casinos, if you're out and about, have the buffets during the day. You can get a huge buffet for $10. Before 3, after 3, it's about 15. So you can really come down on a cheap budget, have a good time, and really see the sights and probably see an extraterrestrial. And there's lots of places to go observe for sky watching. Stennis NASA facility, Eglin Air Force Base, the Mobile facility, the Pensacola facility, the Panama City facility. All of these places, you're going to see something weird flying around. Whether it's alien or government, you'll have to decide that, but you will see.
Ben in the room asked, will I see a grave if I go? Well, I can't guarantee that you'll see anything out of the ordinary. I can show you several locations where graves have been reported seen. And hey, even if you don't see anything, for like $100, you just spend a relaxing weekend going up and down the Gulf Coast. Either way it goes, you can't really lose.
Well, if you're a gray contactee, you'll definitely see a gray. I can't say if you're not, if you'll see one or not, but if you are, you'll definitely see one. I ain't even no ifs, ands, or buts about that. There are a lot of weird stuff that happens down there. There's a lot of scary stuff that happens down there. Ask the host of Dawn of Shade. She'll tell you about one where the horses were screaming one night, and she just weirded out for like a week after that. There's a lot of weird stuff happens out there. So be prepared. Bring a strong constitution. And enjoy yourself. You'll have a lot of fun, and you'll probably have an experience. It's not the only places. There's places out in Puget Sound where they're seen regular. There's places in California where they're seen fairly regular. There's places in Texas where they're seen fairly regular. There's places up in New York where they're seen fairly regular. What is that valley up there? Oh, hell, I forgot what it's called up in New York. They're seen there pretty regularly. Hudson Valley. They're seen up in there on a fairly regular basis, almost bi-nightly. Places in the U.S., if you're patient and you've got the time and you've got good cameras and good clothes because it gets cold this time of year, that you can see stuff. You just got to go out and look for it.
That's the main key to it is basically the outside, pay attention to the sky. It doesn't get any simpler than that.
But we need to let November plug the research site one more time so we can get out of here because I know we're like a half hour over now.
Yes, thank you, Joe. Jason, I really enjoyed the program. The research site is icar-research.com, .net, .org, lots of things, or icarresearch.tk. You should get to the research site. There's currently the Dream Research Project up there, the event trackers up there, results from 2 other projects is on there. Minor updates are up there, and there's another project that should be up there at the end of this week, and 2 more coming down the pipeline.
Mm-hmm. No, now, Ian, I'm not saying that on the air. First off, she'd smack the hell out of me, and she'd have to reach through her phone to do it. You see his comment.
All I will say is he is a man of impeccable taste.
Yes, and we'll leave it at that.
I didn't see the comment. I don't want to know.
You're good. It's not a bad comment. It's just...
No, I know it's not a bad comment.
Ian knows better. She flew over there once and turned Ian inside out and left him like that for a day and then put him back. And ever since then, he's been a little off a little bit. So
I heard he was waterboarded for 3 weeks.
I don't know what it was, but I know ever since that trip, he has been like, yes, ma'am.
Oh, my goodness.
He's like, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Chris, you still with us?
I'm here.
All right, well, hopefully we'll talk to you soon. We got Crazy Chris on with us, guys. Y'all should know Christopher George by now. And I just drug him in because right when we were talking to you, Jason was been talking about the demonic and the contactees at the same time. Well, actually, the channeling. That's actually what I drug you in for, because he was asking me about, how did you say it, Jason? Channeling the contact? No, wait. Channeling the extraterrestrial?
Yeah, and that whole walk-in scenario, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, one of these days we'll have to get, because y'all know how I am about channeling right off the bat, so one of these days we'll have to get Chris down, fill him up with some good rock gut Crown Royal, and see if we can get him channeling of Ray.
Listen, Joe, I've already told you I would love to do that.
Oh, I know. We're gonna set up a show sometime in the future. I'll get with Jason, and I'll get with you, and we'll set up a show sometime in the future. Maybe we'll do it as a pre-record. Maybe we'll do it as a special on a weekend or something, and see what we can come up with. Because I want to see how it works. You know how I am. You know, Jim, you've been around long enough to know how I am about channelers. So I'm always like, when people tell me they channel, I know, Chris, I want to see what comes out of it. I'm curious.
Well, there are a lot of aspects where the extraterrestrial and the paranormal definitely overlap. So, I don't know, I think it's worth looking into.
Probably a Pro B, so it's better to let him try. Because I don't think non-contactees can contact ETs. So, Pro Bs only. Y'all don't write to me about the Pro B word, okay? Just
you know how I feel about that, Joe.
Chris is like, leave me the hell out of this probing stuff.
I'd rather deal with aliens any day over aliens and probing and all that other stuff.
What did that guy tell me the other day? He's 48. He writes to me. He said, I think I've been probed by an alien, and I'm laughing at him. He said, the only reason I thought that, he said, I remember being probed by the doctor for his prostate exam. He said, it just felt so much the same. I'm like, you did not just, and wait, I thought the guy was jerking me around. He was actually being serious. He got into great detail, more detail I'm going to share with y'all, but I was like, he just did not write this to me. Oh, Lord, I ought to forward it in the very, she'd love it. It's hilariously funny. But he's absolutely 100% sincere and very serious about this. And it was just so funny the way he said it, because he said, I just had that prostate exam a couple weeks earlier, and it just was so much the same thing. And I was reading it, so it was all right to laugh. When he called me, I was having a hard time not laughing when he called me, because I didn't want to be rude, but it was getting funny. Then he started laughing. I'm like, dude, I don't know what to tell you, man. I said, they don't usually do that after about 16, man. They usually move on to other stuff. I said, there are some occasions in your 20s where they might, and I've heard of once or twice in their 30s, but in general, the probing thing is like, a 3 or 4 time event over a 40-year of abduction. So it's not like it happens all the time. And I don't know why, I pick on it because I think it's funny, but I don't know why mainstream latched on it so hard. They just laugh. I guess, anyone over the age of 40's probably had some type of exam along those lines. And I just don't know why the mainstream audience or the mainstream media just latched onto that one particular part. There's so much good information out there about abductions and so many good witnesses with outstanding credibility. But no, they don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about the guy who got probed. I don't know. Maybe it's more ratings. Maybe it's funny. I don't know what the hell it is. It pisses me off, I'll tell you that much. I get into it.
I mean, that's part of the problem of the field. You've got legitimate researchers out there competing with, interesting stories that make a good 15-minute segment on TV.
Well, ever since I started writing those little, I have started sending stuff. I've gotten really bad about this. CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS. I write to all of them now. I don't care who they are, what anchors they are, who they are. And I learned in early time, I'd write stuff like I didn't agree or disagree. No one would even acknowledge it. Now when I write the way I write them now, they're like, oh, yeah? I get instant response. I mean, instant response. It's kind of funny as hell. Hey, you can't let the bullshit go on. You got to challenge it. Doesn't matter what it is. And this is true, ladies and gentlemen. This doesn't matter in any aspect of life. When you know it's bullshit, you need to call it bullshit. It doesn't matter whether it's the president, the nurse down the street, the school teacher, the doctor, the lawyer, the judge, the alien. It doesn't matter. When you know it's BS, you need to call it what it is. Okay? And just stop taking the status quo. Stop being sheeples. November says she shaves sheeples, so y'all better watch that shit. Anyway, guys and girls, we're going to get out of here. Jason, any parting words? Chris, anything you want to say before we leave out of here?
Oh, yeah, I mean, tomorrow night I'm going to be doing a show on spirit attachment, and it should be a great show.
Oh, spirit attachment. Evil aliens coming. Oh, no, evil spirits coming for you, sorry. See, I still got the aliens in my brain. Jason, anything else before we roll?
All I really have to say is all my usual suspects out there, you know who you are, and I love you. Be sure to go to icar-research.com, take advantage of that event tracker if anything out of the ordinary happens. Let's go ahead and get some there so we can start crunching that and noticing trends and, keep on keeping on.
Oh, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Donna, I'm sorry. No, yes, it is a separate site, but it is part of ICAR. November Hansen is our Oregon State Director, and she is in charge of research for the organization. Yes, it is on a Google site. She put it there because the site builder has the tools. It automatically correlates. It finds similarities on it. I mean, it does a lot of the work for you. It takes out a lot of that sitting there and reading. All she's got to do is go back and double check now. That's why it's there. Yeah, I meant to say that in the show and I just forgot. But no, it's what it is. It's all part of the organization. It's all under the same roof. It's just a different site. So feel free to go over. Take care of what you need to take. Just get involved. Somehow get involved. Whether it's reporting your encounter, getting involved, listening to somebody else. The site is the main site is www.icar1.com. The other site is icar-research.com. Feel free. They're all on the other sites. You can find them all. If you have a hard time, it's linked off of UFO Undercover's main site. It's linked on the Paranormal Radio main site. Both of the ICAR sites are linked to it. So icar-research.com. Feel free to go over, click. There's a lot of information there. Now, to confuse y'all, go over there, take all the stuff that's on there, all the questionnaires and all the research things. Then go back to the ICAR 1 site, and you can find the answers and information from the previous projects done. Yeah, see, you can go to one site and take it and go to the other site and see what the conclusions was from the earlier projects. And that's the way these will go. When these are done, these will go up on the ICAR site, and new projects will go up, and the old projects will stay. They'll just get pushed further back, and that's the way it will go. And it makes it way easier, and it allows for everybody to get lots of information. And I got to say, it's changing ufology. I can promise you this. ICAR is ufology in ways that are for the much better and will be much better in the future. And I guarantee when it's all said and done, we'll have changed ufologies in ways that even we will have a hard time realizing. It's just nothing like this has ever been done before. Nothing that we have done in the last 2 years has ever been done in this field before, ever. And we get probably less respect and less press than anybody in the field and have more followers and more members. Figure that one out. Thank God for alternative media is all I got to say. Anyway, we're going to get out of here, guys and girls. I want to thank everyone for hanging out with us. I will be guest hosting on Tree Sheridan's show Friday night. I believe Stephanie Benetti said she's going to be joining me as well. Chris will be the guest. Chris Holly, I believe is his name. Damn, I hope I got it right. I will check and post it up, but Teresa's out right now, and she'll be back in a couple of weeks. When she's back, y'all will get her voice, which is much nicer than mine, and she's a much more professional host than I am. So I'll be looking forward to her return. But until then, I will be guest hosting for her. And if it's going to be an extended stay day, maybe some other guest host that comes in as well. Anyway, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get out of here. Jason, Chris, thanks for joining me. November, hope you're still listening. Glad to hear you on. You sound fantastic. To everyone else, enjoy your life. Have some fun. Smile. Yes, I know the world's coming to end in 21, but until then, have some fun. Good night, everybody.